Hello friends, this is Scott. We're sitting in front of my 3-bin hot compost system, and it's been a while since I've done a compost video. I believe the last video was when I turned multiple bins. But right now though, we've got an issue that we've got to deal with, which is we ran out of brown materials. Okay, I think it was at the end of May, so I have not been able to continue to be aggressive with hot compost because I didn't collect enough leaves last winter. So again, this winter I've got to collect a lot more leaves. I mean, we're talking a considerable amount more, so hundreds of bags if I can get them. So we're going to see how that goes this year. But anyway, common question I have with the 3-bin system is, okay, when you flip compost, it usually takes 2, 3, 4, 5 turns to get finished compost. Well, how do you do that with a 3-bin system? There's not enough room, right? Now, it would be nice if I had 2 more bins and if I had enough volume, as we talked about volume being very important to create the heat. But if I had more materials, it'd be nice to have a 5-bin system so I could just continue to flip, and then screen at the end, okay? But because I only have a 3-bin system, I can't do that. So what are my options on how I can continue to turn the material and get the number of flips or turns that I need to get? Flies are getting bad out here. So today I'm going to show you the bin, and then I'm going to talk about ideas that you can do to use your bin effectively when you only have a 3-bin system. So let's take a look at what the bin looks like right now and how full it is at this point in time. Like I was saying, I'm out of brown, so my little bin that I stored the leaves in is totally empty. And here we go. So my first bin is where I put all the initial materials, is maybe half full, not even that. Go to the second bin. The second and the third bin were pretty much the same age. I had doubled up 2 bins to start with and just kept adding materials till I had the right volume for heat. But yeah, they've shrunk down about a little more than half on this one. And this one is about 3/4 maybe. And as you see, the temperature right now is right at 80 degrees. So it's just basically the temperature outside. Now this material can heat up again, and I'm not sure exactly how hot it's going to get when I turn the material. But what do I do when I have 3 bins and a cat? There's Mr. Willow's always in my business. Okay, so what am I going to do when I have these 3 bins and I want to create more turns before I get to screening? Okay, so I'm going to show you right now what my preferred methods to do are. And again, I'm not going to do a lot of work tonight, so I'm just going to kind of describe it. But yeah, there's a couple different options you can do here to take care of this flipping of these bins. Okay, so the first bin I'm not going to turn because I'm just going to keep building a bin out of that. So I'm going to need some place for the worms to live when I do introduce worms, and I'm going to need a bin to have a place for the worms to hide and also to stay insulated. So I'm going to keep building this bin, and I'll leave this one alone. But by the end of the year, I will have screened this material and this material. But what do? It's not ready. As you look at this material, there's some compost in here, but it's pretty dry. And it's got lots of, it still looks like leaves. So we need to take care of those right now. But how do I do it? How am I going to get more turns from these bins? Okay, the 2 methods I'm going to use, I'm going to start with the first one, which would be, and this is my least preferred method, is I can take all the slats down to the bottom and I can just drag this material out, have the hose ready, mix it all together and shove it back in. That's a way to create another mix. And I could do it again if I so chose. But again, I'm more into the flip from bin to bin to bin system. So I don't want to do that because again, I don't want just stuff laying on the ground here. So looking at this third bin, okay, it's about 3/4 full. So what would be an easy way to combine bins right now? And again, get the multiple amount of turns in this limited space, okay? So right now I've got 3/4 here. I've got 1/4 here. This material is about the same age. Normally this would be, the one on the right would be newer, but at this point they're both about the same age. So what I'm going to do in the future, I'm not going to do it tonight, is I'm going to turn this material in the second bin and flip it on top into the third bin and add water. Okay? Then what I'm going to do in the future is after it's going to heat up again, and I'm going to wait till it cools down again. Once it cools down again, I'm going to turn all the material, this will be a heaping third bin, flip it back to the second bin. Okay, let that heat up again, and then that'll just be sitting on top. It's not mixed yet, but then after that cools down in a couple weeks, then I'll be flipping all the material back over here, so I will have one bin completely full, up to here, and then I'll let it again heat up, let it cool down, and then when it cools down, I'll be ready to start screening, which is the process of making the actual compost that you will use in the garden. So again, I'm going to move to maximize these flips. I'm going to flip. Okay, so we had the first bin was 1, then the second bin's 2. If you flip it in the third, it's 3. If you flip this material back into this bin, it's 4. Flip all this material back to the middle bin is 5, and then flip all this material back. So you have one heaping pile will be 6. I don't know, hopefully that made sense to you. Yeah, I'm just kind of going back and forth with the camera, but again, I'm going to take the second bin, flip it to the third bin, let it heat up, flip it back when it's all done, heating up and cooling down, and then I'll flip it back into this bin, all of it, and it'll be finished. So that'll be the way we finish our compost. So right now, it's time that I could get into this worm bin. And you see there's lots of bugs in there, lots of insects. So I need to get in here, and this is all either horse or cow manure. And I need to screen this material out and collect some worms. Okay, and the screen material I'm going to use with my asparagus, it's just great, manure compost, with a lot of worm casting. So I'm going to, anytime now I can, do that, which will be in a future video. I'm going to be digging into those tires and going through all that material and refilling them for the winter. And so I make sure I have a good place for the worms to be so they don't freeze out during the winter. But that's my concern, is I got to have material in these bins for the worms to live. Now I can always fill these up with leaves, but what's going to happen is when I'm all said and done, I'm going to have, these 2 bins are going to be totally empty. And anything that I screen that doesn't go through when I do screen the materials is going to go back in the first bin. So what'll happen is the worms will be in this first bin, and they're going to need to overwinter, and I'll just pile it and heap it up with leaves, and I'll probably put it, a bunch of leaves in the second bin also, if not the third, just so that they have other places to move to, food to eat, and be insulated. So anyway, that's how you deal with multiple flips with a bin, with a 3 bin, I should say. And again, it would be nice to have a 5 bin, but hell, I don't even have enough raw materials to keep a 3 bin fed. So a 5 bin would be a little bit of overkill. So yeah, I've got to figure out more raw materials, and my composting system is getting there. Okay, I've got this bin. Again, I've got my worm bin and my static compost bin that I finally brought the block down, and I'm a couple blocks short, but that's tall enough, I think, so the cows and the horses can't look in and knock it over again. So yeah, that's going to be the basis of my compost, not forgetting that the chickens are a big deal also. And so I'll be using all this material that are in here that I keep throwing wood chips and weeds and things like that in here, and they go through it. So yeah, that's this is my little composting corner, and I'm looking forward to, over the years, making tons of compost out of here, but it's going to take time. And yeah, that's one thing I do have, I think. I'm old, but I'm not that old, so I got some time to take care of business and to make some good compost. But I'm excited to actually screen compost and show you how good that stuff is. I showed you in previous videos how nice of material it is, and how you cannot buy this quality of material. You've got to make it. Nobody sells it. And if they did sell it, it'd be a lot of money. So you don't want to spend that kind of money. So anyway, well, thanks for watching this video. And in the near future, I will be turning these bins. I don't need to bore you showing you that, but I will be showing you screening. And I'll be talking about the worms, and I'll be introducing worms once I go through the worm bin there and screen out all that good manure for the asparagus bed. So stay tuned for that. Well, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you.